Three small children stood in the middle of a crowded lobby, tears streaming down their faces, calling for their daddy. Business executives in sharp suits walked past them, eyes glued to their phones. Security guards glanced over but kept their distance. Then a man in worn jeans and a faded work shirt pushed through the crowd, dropped to his knees in front of the crying triplets, and said three words that would change everything. What happened next left everyone in that building speechless. If stories like this touch your heart, you're in the right place. Subscribe to True Kindness Tales and join our community of people who believe in the power of compassion. Hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Marcus Riley was running on 3 hours of sleep in his second cup of gas station coffee when he walked into the gleaming headquarters of Thornton Industries. That Tuesday morning, he dropped his daughter Emma off at kindergarten, navigated through morning traffic, and now he was here for a maintenance job that would hopefully pay enough to cover this month's overdue electric bill. Being a single dad and a freelance handyman meant every job mattered. Every dollar counted. The lobby was all marble floors and floor-to-ceiling windows, the kind of place that made Marcus acutely aware of the paint stain on his work boots. He approached the reception desk, but before he could speak, chaos erupted behind him. 3 small children, couldn't have been more than 4 years old, burst through the revolving doors. They were identical with matching dark curls and red sweaters, and they were crying. Not the whimpering kind of crying, but the desperate, terrified sobbing of children who were completely lost. Marcus turned and watched as they stood there looking around frantically. One of them, a little boy, called out, "Daddy! We want Daddy!" His sisters echoed him, their voices rising in panic. Marcus glanced around the lobby. At least 20 people were within earshot. Business people in expensive suits clutched their leather briefcases and quickened their pace toward the elevators. A woman in heels actually stepped around the children, her phone pressed to her ear. 2 security guards stood by the entrance talking to each other, occasionally looking at the kids but making no move to help. Marcus felt something twist in his chest. He thought of Emma, how terrified she'd be if she were lost and crying and everyone just walked past her. He set down his toolbox and walked over to the children. As he got closer, he could see that their expensive clothes were disheveled, and one little girl had tear tracks, cutting through what looked like chocolate, smeared on her cheek. He knelt down, bringing himself to their eye level, and said 3 simple words. "I'm here now." The crying didn't stop immediately, but all 3 children looked at him. Marcus kept his voice gentle. "Hey there, it's okay. Can you tell me your names?" The little boy hiccuped and managed to say, "I'm Connor." "That's Lily and Sophie," Marcus nodded. "Those are really nice names." "I'm Marcus. My little girl is named Emma. She's about your age, I think." "We lost our daddy," Sophie whispered, fresh tears spilling over. Marcus's heart ached. "I know, sweetheart, but we're going to find him, okay? He's probably looking for you right now." He glanced up at the security guards, who were now watching but still hadn't approached. Marcus's jaw tightened, but he kept his focus on the kids. "Did you come here with your daddy this morning?" Marcus asked. Connor nodded vigorously. "We came in his car, the big black one. But then we saw the candy store across the street through the window, and we wanted to go, and the door opened and we ran, and now we can't find him." Marcus understood now. These kids had slipped away, probably while their father was distracted for just a moment, and had wandered back across the street. "All right," he said. "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to that nice desk over there, and we're going to ask them to call your daddy. Does that sound good?" Lily, who hadn't spoken yet, suddenly grabbed Marcus's hand. "Will you stay with us?" Her voice was so small, so scared. Marcus felt a lump form in his throat. "Yes," he said firmly. "I'm not going anywhere until your daddy gets here." Sophie grabbed his other hand, and Connor pressed close to his side. They walked to the reception desk together, Marcus still kneeling awkwardly to hold the children's hands. The receptionist's eyes widened as they approached. Before Marcus could speak, she picked up her phone and made a quick call. Within seconds, the elevator doors burst open, and a man in an immaculate navy suit practically ran into the lobby. His face was pale, his eyes wild with fear, and the moment he saw the children, he let out a sound that was half sob, half gasp. "Connor, Lily, Sophie." The triplets released Marcus's hands and ran to their father, who dropped to his knees and wrapped all 3 of them in his arms. Marcus stood up slowly, watching the reunion. The man was shaking as he held his children, pressing kisses to their heads, whispering things Marcus couldn't hear. Several people in the lobby had stopped to watch, some filming on their phones. After a long moment, the man looked up at Marcus. His eyes were red. "You," he said, his voice breaking. "You were with my children." Marcus nodded. "They were scared. I just wanted to make sure they were safe until you got here." The man stood, still holding one child in each arm while Connor clutched his leg. "What's your name?" "Marcus Riley, sir. I'm here for a maintenance job, fixing the HVAC system on the 3rd floor." The man stared at Marcus for a long moment. "I'm Julian Thornton," he said quietly. Recognition flickered across Marcus's face. This was the CEO, the owner of the entire company. Julian continued, his voice thick with emotion. "I turned my back for 30 seconds to speak with my assistant. 30 seconds and they were gone. I've been searching everywhere. I thought..." His voice broke and he couldn't finish. "They're safe now," Marcus said gently. "That's what matters." Julian set the girls down carefully but kept them close. Everyone in this building walked past them. I saw the security footage while I was searching. Dozens of people and they all just kept walking. "But you stopped. Why?" Marcus thought of Emma, of the nights he'd stayed up worried about her, of all the times he'd felt like he was failing as a parent but kept trying anyway. "I'm a dad too," he said simply. "I have a little girl. I'd hope someone would do the same for her." Julian's expression changed. He looked at Marcus with something like wonder. "What did you say to them when you first knelt down?" Marcus shrugged. "I just said, I'm here now. I wanted them to know they weren't alone." "Any more?" Julian's eyes filled with tears again. He extended his hand and Marcus shook it. "Thank you," Julian said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you for seeing them when no one else would." What Marcus didn't know was that Julian's wife had died 2 years earlier in a car accident. He'd been raising the triplets alone, struggling to balance running a company with being the father his children needed. He'd been bringing them to work that morning because their nanny had called in sick, and he had a crucial board meeting he couldn't miss. The terror of losing them, even for those few minutes, had nearly broken him. And the fact that only one person in that entire crowded building had stopped to help hadn't escaped his notice. 2 days later, Marcus received a call from Julian's assistant. Would he be willing to come to Julian's office? Marcus went, confused and a little nervous. Julian sat behind his massive desk, but he stood when Marcus entered. "I've been thinking about what happened," Julian said. "About how you helped my children, and about the kind of person you must be." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "I just did what anyone should do." "But they didn't," Julian said quietly. "That's the point. Marcus, I looked into your background. You're a skilled handyman, but you're working job to job. You're raising your daughter alone. You're good at what you do." He paused. "I'd like to offer you a position. Head of Facilities Management for Thornton Industries. Full benefits, stable salary, and childcare services in the building for Emma. You'd never have to worry about finding the next job or choosing between work and your daughter again." Marcus felt his knees go weak. "Sir, I don't know what to say." Julian smiled, the first real smile Marcus had seen on his face. "Say yes, because kindness like yours is rare, and I want people like you around my children and in my company." You saw them as human beings who needed help, not as inconveniences to avoid. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. Marcus did say yes, but more than that, he and Julian became friends. Their daughters became playmates, and Julian made sure that everyone in his company knew the story of the maintenance man who stopped when no one else would. He used it as a teaching moment, a reminder that success means nothing if we lose our humanity along the way. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest ripples. Marcus knelt down in that lobby because he saw scared children and couldn't walk away. He had no idea who their father was, no expectation of reward or recognition. He simply chose compassion when it would have been easier to keep walking. And that choice changed 2 families forever. It reminded a grieving father that good people still exist. It gave a struggling single dad the stability he desperately needed. It showed 2 little girls and a little boy that strangers can be heroes. The next time you see someone who needs help, remember Marcus. Remember that you have the power to be someone's answer to a desperate prayer. You have the ability to be the person who stops when everyone else walks by. You never know how far your kindness might reach, or whose life you might change with 3 simple words on IPU here now. Those words can mean everything to someone who feels invisible, forgotten, or alone. Share your own stories of kindness in the comments below. Let's inspire each other to be the ones who stop, who see, who care, because that's how we change the world. One moment of compassion at a time.